It's now been almost 2 months since the hybrid tank was fully rescaped and something's not right. Most of the things that I planned are going exactly how I wanted to, but one plant in particular isn't. It started off strong, but now the leaves are melting, they're turning yellow and they're full of tiny small holes. And honestly, I have no idea as to why. So today we're taking a full look of the tank. I'll show you what's thriving, some things that I've changed and what might need to go in the future. Let's start off with the plant side and the new plants that I've added in during the rescape. The dwarf hairgrass has been a huge success. It's filled in beautifully, it's just how I envisioned carpeting around the foreground of the tank. There were some yellowing on the tips of the hairgrass early on, but I've since trimmed them back and it seems to have actually fixed the issue. It's now thick and lush, and I just love how it softens the entire layout of the tank. And the Ecuadoris Reni, which I bought, has also really impressed me actually. The reddish brown tones that it brings out and the warm contrast that it actually has to all of the greens in here, and it's managed to grow vertically as well while staying compact, and that's something that I think really works here because it enables the tank to build some height in that regard. And a few weeks back I actually received a brand new plant. I'd sold some of the Rotala blood red stems that I have and some few of the blue neon guppies, and the buyer actually gifted me a small crypt which I placed here on the left side of the tank temporarily, and it's doing really well as well. And the newer leaves is actually getting a reddish brownish underside as well to the leaves, which is really cool to see as well. I've also made some few changes to the layouts as well. The bulbitis that I initially placed at the top near the roots of the pothos has actually been moved slightly lower because I was hoping to train the plant to grow upwards, but it hasn't really worked so far, and I actually may move it back there. I also removed some of the Hygrophila pinnatifida and I moved it up there from where I took the bulbitis from, but I may have to move those around because I'm not sure it works as of now. The moss has also grown steadily as well, and I've since trimmed them back, and I've raked some of the excess and I redistributed it into the cracks near the front of the rock barrier here, just to help balance things out visually and make it look more appealing. And as expected as well, the white sand at the foreground has started to darken a bit. It's now a light brownish hue, which I actually don't mind. I actually prefer that it does look more natural, but I don't want it to turn too dark, and if it gets too dark I'll just top it off with some new sand as well. The Schismatiglotis prietoi is actually also doing what I hoped. It has established in clumps and they're growing fast, and they are starting to blend in nicely with the hairgrass as well. And that's the old stems which were already in there, that was also initially planted on the substrate. They're growing really well, but also the new ones as well that I've glued onto the rocks as epiphytes, they're also growing a bit in height. They're not expanding so much yet. I don't know if they will since they're growing as epiphytes, but in the future I may try to take some of them and plant them directly into the substrate in order to see whether that actually helps. There is this small gap here at the front where you can see the sand, and there's neither any hairgrass or any Schismatiglotis prietoi here to kind of cover it up. So this bare spot here kind of irritates me. I'm sure I can do something in the future to fix it whenever the plants grow and I can trim some of them back, but for the moment it'll just have to keep annoying me, I guess. And then there's actually a surprise comeback in the tank as well. I had initially this Riccia fluitans, which I sold off. I thought I sold off everything I had at that time, but apparently a few strands of it remained in the tank, and it's now growing really well and spreading again. And it's even growing immersed in a few spots where they have locked onto the moss or the slate rocks. And I think it's very cool to see here the clear difference between the submerged form and the immersed form in the leaf texture. Both of these are the same plant, they're just two very different expressions of it. Now, although I do actually like how the Riccia has developed and how it's growing onto the moss here, I do think it's a bit excessive. So what I'm doing here is simply taking some of the Riccia that's growing onto the moss and just removing it so I can float back in the water column. And it will be just fine, it'll grow together with the Salvinia in the surface, or maybe it will even latch onto something else, or even the moss again. Now we can address the elephants in the room and the plant that's not doing so well. The Hygrophila pinnatifida actually started off very good. It was growing fast and it spread wide, but now it's just showing signs of trouble. They are developing tiny yellow holes in the leaves, and the leaves will often thereafter melt completely, and it's not growing to any extent anymore. And for me this is deja vu, because it's exactly what happened the first time I tried this plant. I suspect it could be a potassium deficiency. I think that's the most likely culprit from what I can research myself, but I'm not entirely sure. It could also be pH. My pH in the tank sits at a roughly 7.5, and the water itself is quite hard, which the Neocaridina shrimp prefer. But it could also be some poor nutrient uptake due to fluctuating CO2 levels or inconsistent lighting in that particular section of the tank. Either way, this is not something that's sustainable for the tank. I'll keep it in here for now, but I think it may need to be replaced soon. I would also like to ask for your help, because if you had similar issues or have any suggestions for a plant that could go in its place, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear what's worked for you. So now we can move on to the fish, the livestock of the tank. And it's a bit of a sad announcement, but all of the original 9 guppies that I bought, they have actually now all passed. And I'm pretty sure it was just due to age. All of the guppies, they were really large when I bought them. So I suspect they were probably all near the end of their own lifespans. Fortunately, they were able to reproduce like crazy before that. And the next generation of guppies is already growing very fast. And I've also stopped selling out of the guppies here in order to keep the stock that I have here and have them grow, so they'll also be able to reproduce the next generation. But here's something strange in the guppies. This male right here, he's red, and I only ever bought blue neon guppies, so I suspect some of the original fish must have carried red genes, or the wholesaler that I bought them from have mixed both red and blue neon guppies together. I'm not so sure about that. But that same color expression has also actually now shown up in this juvenile as well. So do you think I should separate the 2 colonies and keep a separate red neon line potentially in the other side of the hybrid tank when Coco moves out? Or should I just keep them together and see what develops naturally? As for the other fish, I'm now down to 2 neon tetras. They were never meant to be staying as a long-term solutions. They were actually only meant to be placeholders until I had an established guppy colony. But I actually like how, since the guppy was introduced, they've become very much more confident and active as well in the tank. But still, with the guppy numbers expected to be growing in the future, I don't think I'll be adding another species in here. The tank is approaching the max capacity that it can hold for the bioload, and I do not want to overcrowd the tank. Now, the last thing I want to do today is to bring you guys along for the packaging of another order that I have. And this time around I have an order for snails, shrimp, and also some of the Rotala blood red. The order did not specify a certain amount of ram's horn snails, but the customer did mention that he wanted many, so that is the first thing that I'll pack for him. He also wanted 20 stems of the Rotala blood red, and I actually ultimately decided to trim all of the stem plants in the bag so that it could grow back even more dense and look much better that way. And this is the aftermath after trimming all of the stem plants. And when I am packaging them, I actually prefer to place all of the stems in a bowl, because in that way it makes it easier for me to see all of the stems and also choose the ones that are best looking for my customers. Ideally, I am looking for the longer stems, but also the stems that are a bit thicker and also has a stronger reddish coloration to them. These are the remaining Rotalas, and I will try to replant some of them, but the rest I will have to throw out. Next up is catching and packaging the 20 Neocaridina Blue Dream shrimp, which proved to actually be quite a challenging task. In the first net I managed to catch these 6 individuals, but that was also my best catch. After that I only caught 1 or 2 at a time, and they were actually very quick to escape danger. In fact, this one even managed to dodge the net by going underneath it. But luckily, in the end, I still did manage to catch these 20 shrimp. I will pack them together with the Rotala, because then they will have something to both hide in and to hold on to while they're being transported to their new home. So even with the few issues that have come up, I'm actually still really happy with how the tank is evolving. Some of the plants are thriving, the Hygrophila is the only one that isn't. The original 9 of the guppies are now gone, but the next generation is taking their place, and hopefully they will be able to breed the next generation as well to keep it all sustainable. And I think that's what these setups are all about. You know, you keep learning, you adapt, and you grow kind of with the tank as well. So thank you for sticking around. Let me know your thoughts on the Hygrophila issues, what could replace it, potentially if I can save the plants as well, and the future of that red guppy line as well. Thanks for watching.